Chelsea, and welcome to BuilderChat. BuilderChat is a podcast where we take some time to get into the industry professionals and understand a little bit more about the challenges that they face and the experiences that they have, whether it be in the job site or in the office. So today we have Dan Hammons from T&G Constructors, the Director of Business Development. And today Dan's going to tell us a little bit about some of those things. Dan, what do you do on a day-to-day basis for T&G?
Well, I've been with T&G for about 5 years, and I've gone from business development in Texas to South Florida to all of Florida. So I'm out there every day talking with clients, trying to meet new clients, talking with architects, interior designers, owners, reps. The list is pretty endless. So, I'm out there at the end of the day trying to build a relationship with people the decision makers that will give us the right opportunities, whether it be a hard bid or a negotiated contract.
Okay. So that sounds like a lot of time and a lot of exhaustion. So how are you managing all of this and trying to keep everything together?
Some weeks are better than others.
Yeah.
A lot of times I use my calendar. So if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't get done. That's both personal and professional. Kind of a weird deal, I guess, but I'm very calendar driven. But yeah, it's lots of emails, lots of phone calls, getting out there and just doing what I do. So.
Okay. When you're doing this and you're having all these emails, phone calls, plane flights, traveling, are you finding that it's easy to get behind? And if you do, how do you stay ahead outside of just a calendar? Is there a lot of memory that goes into this?
Yeah, but as I get older, the memory starts to fade. So you have to rely on other things. I have whiteboards that I use that I constantly update that are in my office as to who did I talk to? What was I talking to them about? When was the last time I talked to them? I track with spreadsheets. A lot of times we send our interactions through RedTeam, the RedTeam software, so that it captures it and allows me to spit out reports at the end of the week or every other week, depending on when I need to do it, that I can show the people that I report to kind of what I'm doing and the leads that we're generating based on all of these meetings and phone calls that we're doing.
Okay. Do you find that to be the biggest challenge that you have is trying to manage the time?
Time management is certainly a key critical component. Really, I think the biggest challenge for business development is filling the funnel, right? The work, all of the work that comes in the office has to come through us, most of it. So it's filling the funnel, trying to find the right job, the right opportunity, the right people that give us repeat work, that understand the value that a good contractor can bring to the equation, and not just low bid and hard bid everything, so that, it's a game. The hard bid's a shell game where you can not include this and include it this way, and different people answer different ways, and it's really not a good service to the client. So we do our fair share of hard bid, but at the end of the day, I would rather do a pre-construction agreement, get a negotiated contract where I'm out there pricing different drawing packages along the way, being an advocate for the architect, catching all the holes that are in the drawings. I think that's a better product. It's a better relationship at the end of the day. So how do you find those right clients, right? How do you find those right opportunities? So it's just a matter of, it's a numbers game at that point. So try to find the right client, get out there, get introductions. I rely on a lot on architects and interior designers. So if you can get in good with them, I'm a licensed architect myself. So I was on that side of the table for 15 years before I came to the dark side, as I call it when I talk to my designer friends. So I speak the language, I know what their hot buttons are. So it's easy to have a good conversation and educate them along the way as to what we do.
Right. So I imagine that having that experience is probably pretty beneficial. Would you agree that a lot of these relationships that you have to be managed and maintained to be successful at T&G? Is that the most important tool that you really have, is to have these strong relationships for repeat business?
It is for me, for sure. Everything that we do is relationship based. So you're going to, just in anything that you do, if you have a great relationship with somebody, you're going to keep going back to them for whatever it is that they do for you, whether it be a good or a service, in which case I want to provide a service. So I'm relying very much on that relationship. So you are only as good as your last job. So what we try to do is stay involved and make sure that the client is happy throughout the process. We know that there's ups and downs throughout each job. So from my standpoint, I keep my finger on the pulse for each job, even after we've won it, just to see how things are going. Hey, are we delivering what I told you? How's the relationship? If there's an issue, how can I help solve that issue? And I think if you stay engaged in that, you stay involved, you're going to be better off. Now, the challenge is I can't manage 400 clients. There's just no way to do that. So you have to be able to let go. I've got a couple of people that work for me, and I need to let them do what they do. And we each sell and do business development our own way. But at the end of the day, you're selling a relationship. So the message needs to be the same and how you convey it.
Okay. So what if it's not repeat business and say a customer that you've never worked for or sent a bid out for, how would you try to make sure that you are the company that ends up working on this particular job rather than somebody else if you've never met this individual?
Well, I'm typically not going to go after it if I haven't met with them. So if I'm just going to submit a number, I'm just a number. So typically I'm going to request that we get a meeting. And if I'm not going to get the meeting, odds are I'm not going to go after that project. Now, hard bids are a little bit different because hard bid is purely a numbers game. So there's really not a relationship to be leveraged. But if it's an invited bid where you're one of 4, one of 3 or whatever, then yeah, I need to get in front of that owner. And who's the decision maker? Because I could talk to 3 out of 4 people, but if I don't talk to the decision maker, it's all for naught.
Right. Okay. So any other responsibilities that you have outside of managing this probably 24-hour day ridiculous schedule?
It is quite lengthy. People that I work with can attest that I'm known to fire off emails at 5 a.m. and even up until 10 o'clock at night. So work-life balance is certainly a challenge, but it's doable. So I think really it's about that relationship and how do you maintain everything in your head and track everything. So there's different tools, like we said before, to keep track of that. But you do what you can do, and I'm lucky enough to have a great team that works for me. So.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you what keeps you up at night in this line of business, but if you're firing off emails at 5 o'clock in the morning, I think I know the answer. But is there anything that when you go and you get home and you try to relax, you just, in this line of work, that's just really exhausting to the point where you just can't let it go?
No, I don't have I mean, you're always on the clock. But I take downtime. So I like to run. So I try to get time in for runs. I'm a struggling guitarist, so I try to find a little time for that. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem leaving it at work. So.
Okay, well, good. That's always a plus, I think. So.
I think so. Yeah. Well rested is something being well rested is something that's very critical to any type of success. So.
Yes, agreed. So. Well, great. Is there, anything that you'd like to give in regard, like advice or anything to anybody in your line of work, something that's helpful or anything that you learned along the way that really changed your perspective on how you manage things?
I think early on I learned to not burn any bridges, and that served me really well because as I've moved from architecture and into construction, I've always been one that, we talked about the relationships. Well, if you burned one a while back, you don't know who they know. And, all of a sudden you're trying to rebuild a relationship you didn't even know that you lost because they knew somebody else. So
that's probably a personal goal too, but.
Yeah. But certainly professionally, that would be one probably key piece of advice to give somebody coming up, right out of school or getting into any industry is don't burn any bridges, be friends with everybody. And if you make a mistake, own up to it. So don't hide it, own up to it and learn from it. Don't repeat it.
Very respectful, I imagine. So
yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. We appreciate you coming in today.
Absolutely.
And thank you for joining in to RedTeam's Builder Chat. It was very exciting to talk with Dan today. Again, Director of Business Development with T&G Constructors. And please tune in for our next one. These are going to get certainly more exciting as we continue to progress.